Hey, hi, hello. Welcome to Diana Emerson. Today we're listening to Killer Cases, and this is a death in the bathtub.
911, what's the address? Oh, God. I'm going to help you. Tell me why you think she's dead. She's in the bathroom. She's upstairs in the bathroom? Okay, upstairs in the bathroom. Let's go. Send in medical. Central 2207, send in medical. There's no heartbeat, no nothing. Secure the scene, don't touch anything. Okay. She was completely naked. Her head was slumped forward. It appeared that she had a single gunshot inside of her mouth.
There was a firearm next to her in the tub, as well as a shell casing.
Yeah, and I'm Deputy Wheeler. I'm sorry to inform you that your wife is passed.
No.
Dan Howard, he was a police officer for many years, had been on Idaho State Police SWAT team.
Everybody loved Kendi. She was a mother, she was a grandmother, and everybody knew her as this really nice, warm person.
And ultimately, the coroner, even with that gunshot, ruled there was not enough information to determine whether or not it was a suicide or homicide.
Oh, it wasn't a slam dunk at all.
This is the bad night. I don't wish on anybody.
It was going to be a long process to get resolved.
This is what he's going to tell you. I get out of that situation.
And I grabbed a gun.
I'm not the first place to put a body.
No, sir.
The only thing they could do was kill him.
You want to say anything? Leave the jury to find the defendant.
I had a call from my daughter, Cindy Howard. She called in a panic, and they're getting a divorce, and it didn't sound very good out there.
The Kootenai County Sheriff's deputies received a 911 call for a welfare check at the Dan and Kendi Howard residence.
Sheriff's office. Hi, are you Kennedy?
Yeah.
Hi, Kennedy. I'm Deputy Traw. Got a call from, I believe, a friend of yours. Do you mind if we come in and talk to you?
They know Howard's seated on the couch, acting like nothing is going on.
You must be Mr. Howard, Daniel?
Yep.
Do you go by Mr. Howard or Daniel? Or Dan, I guess. All right. You mind if we talk to you guys really quick? All right.
Can I get a so I can go?
Yeah. Do you mind if I follow you? It's just a safety thing. I just don't know where you're going is all. And Kennedy, correct?
They take Kendi upstairs. It's quiet. She's barely speaking above a whisper. Very chilling.
So your friend and her mom is kind of concerned about you. I'm not sure who called us. It is all, but what's going on today? Okay.
I can't say what else. I just want to keep.
Okay.
At some point while Dan was out of town working, she reconnected with a gentleman she grew up with, had an affair with him.
And it was on that night that Kendi told him for the first time face to face, we're getting a divorce. I've met with the divorce attorney. This is happening. She's not trying to create this big event. She's just trying to get out of there.
What did you mean by you can't tell me what he was going to do?
It's not happening. I just want
Okay. All right, well, we're here to help, but we need to make sure.
Kendi was not completely cooperative with the deputies that morning. She shared some information, but mainly she just wanted them to stand by while she packed a bag.
I just I don't want to hear him. I just
I get that, but when your safety is in question, it's not causing problems, it's protecting yourself, right?
And they had talked through things, and she had texted a friend of hers, and her friend asked, "How's he taking it?" And Kenny responded, "Not good." Very early that morning, she woke up to Dan standing over her, wearing dark clothing, wearing black gloves. He may have had a pillow in his hand, and she would later describe that he had a look in his eyes that she had never seen, and she believed that he was going to kill her.
Has anything like this happened before? Anything like tonight?
Kendi and Dan Howard had been married for some 28 years. They had a son together and a daughter from Kendi's previous marriage. It was not the first time sheriff's deputies had been called to the Howard home.
They had an extremely toxic relationship. He was very abusive toward Kendi Howard, mentally, emotionally, physically at times.
Dan had been a decorated member of the Idaho State Police, but he lost his job after an earlier series of incidents involving a neighbor he suspected who was having an affair with Kendi.
At least one occasion, Dan Howard pointed his AR-15 rifle at the neighbor, and another time, Dan Howard, while in uniform on duty with the Idaho State Police, drove to the neighbor's place of employment, where he confronted him, threatened to splatter his brains across the wall. As a result of that investigation, Dan Howard was terminated from the Idaho State Police, and he was convicted of numerous crimes.
He received probation, which was against the recommendation of the state. I think the office at that time certainly viewed him to be a unpredictable and therefore potentially dangerous person.
All right. What do you think he was going to do? I know, man, but I'd like to know what you think he was going to do, because it helps me out too, right? To see which direction I need to go. And who knows, it might help him out too. Do you think he was going to hurt himself?
No. Yeah.
Do you think he was going to kill you? Okay. And why do you think that now?
There's no mandatory arrest policy. They did not feel that equated to probable cause to make an arrest.
You can't arrest somebody for a look in their eyes, right?
She mentioned she thought she saw you standing over her when she woke up. You were just standing right beside her. Did that ever happen? When I was sitting? Okay. Closer than usual, further than usual? Because something happened for us being called, right? A normal argument doesn't typically.
I never touched her. People raising voices.
Okay.
Many of the individuals that we have spoken with that knew Dan as a law enforcement officer described him as someone who was narcissistic, someone who believed himself to be very smart.
I don't know. Have you ever had that thought before?
You don't have balls. It's psychological. I'm a selfish and
But you understand that in our profession, it's not uncommon either.
So Kendi was able to leave the house with the assistance of the sheriff's deputies. She drove down to her parents' home. I think Kendi Howard saw this as an opportunity to start over somewhere new. Kendi was not only happy but excited. She was in love again with someone she'd known since she was a kid. They had been making plans and arrangements for a future together.
Later that day, Dan apologized to Kendi and asked her to change her mind about the divorce. And then sent a photo of them in better times. Kendi told her parents she would briefly go back.
They begged her. They begged her to not go back. That she had an eye appointment she needed to keep. They hadn't finalized the divorce papers. She needed to put notice in at her job.
And she even told her family, well, he's not going to do anything now that he's been caught. I should be fine. Well, she wasn't fine.
What's the address? 911. What's
The night of February 2nd, Dan calls 911 to report that he found Kendi in the bathtub and that she had a gunshot wound in her mouth and that she had killed herself.
Well, then you're going to have to tell me why you think she's dead.
Before I even got on scene, we were concerned about this particular call, just because of our knowledge and history of Dan Howard.
Come on out. Come on out, sir. Over here, come on. Come on.
He appeared to be upset, covering his face a lot with his hands, a lot of crying type sounds that were coming from him.
Stay out here, okay? Don't be ashamed with it. She's upstairs in the bathroom. Okay, upstairs in the bathroom. Let's go. Send in medical. Yeah.
Central 2307, send in medical.
Nope, don't hurt me. So no heartbeat, no nothing. Secure the scene. Don't touch anything. Okay.
She was clearly deceased.
Even though there's blood in the tub, there doesn't appear to be very much blood in the tub.
Yeah, we did see a weapon. There was a small .380 caliber semi-automatic handgun that was in the bathtub to the right of her body, and between her legs was a spent bullet casing.
Oh. Hey Dan, I'm Deputy Wheeler.
I'm sorry to inform you, but your wife is passed.
No.
We were in the residence from like midnight all the way until probably 9 something in the morning.
I got my condolences. This is the bad night. I don't wish on anybody. So what was going on tonight? Yeah. Marital problems. Mm-hmm. And wanted to finalize like, is this divorce has already been decided, or is it it's open for discussion? Yeah. She wants a divorce one day, she doesn't the next.
Howard told the detectives that he and Kendi had argued that night about the house she planned to buy when she left him.
The problem with that is he's trying to get us to believe she got so upset over this house that she didn't even own.
And then once she realized that all assets are going to be split, she flipped her. Yeah.
And according to Dan, she got very upset and said this was BS, and she stormed upstairs to go take her nightly bath.
I heard something hit the floor, I guess. It sounded like a shot. I didn't think it was a shot. And hung there watching TV, drank a beer. Well, I guess I lost track of time.
And he said after about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, he went upstairs and he found Kendi deceased in the bathtub.
Did she ever make any statements that had you concerned about her well-being?
Yeah, but every day. Well, it's just, she's so emotional.
Not one single person we spoke to during this investigation, not one person did they ever indicate that Kendi was depressed, suicidal. It was the opposite.
And now I have to tell you, you've been in this job long enough. You know as well as we do. So I'm gonna plan on asking. Did you go on? No. The conversation will be over if we keep this line up.
Now we gotta ask the question.
The two detectives that were interviewing Dan were very experienced detectives, and they knew Dan, and so they kind of backed off a while. Tried to remain objective. They wanted Dan to tell his side of the story.
So I've been dealing with this roller coaster emotional thing.
Oh, were you?
I wish I know this is bad.
And then he also had 2 phone calls with Brooke, who was Kendi's biological daughter.
What? What are you talking about?
From across the room, I could hear her extremely upset, emotional, accusing Dan of killing Kendi, her mom.
She just accused you of this? Let's see. What was valuable about it? Okay, I was across the room a year ago. She's angry. Why would your daughter think you did that? What in the world would give her that impression? There's no way the world could believe, wow, she would want. That's suicide. Kids don't want that. Believe their mothers would. Well, they also don't even believe that their dad would do it too.
And at one point, Dan actually got up and
I'll be honest with you, I was not expecting that. Maybe.
got away from me and moved from the living room area into the corner of the kitchen with his back to me.
And why does your daughter think you killed your wife? I gotta tell you, that phone call put chills down my spine. People, you did it, didn't you? No, I didn't. I didn't think so. But now, after looking like, and if you did, how the hell, she doesn't know. She wasn't here.
That was really the first moment I saw what I recognized to be some true emotion from Dan, mostly panic.
No.
Throughout the evening, we just continued to try to lock Dan Howard into a story.
And I've got to ask you again. I'm going to ask you this, and it's going to make you mad. And you know the deal. If you're in my shoes, you ask it too. Won't touch you. You don't do anything to do with your well, studies. This or all. Downstairs.
He plays his cards very close to his chest. He's certainly not friendly, nor is he wanting to really volunteer much.
Yeah, another thing I gotta bring up soon is, you know, obviously you're distraught, you're upset. You've been sobbing throughout the night, right? But there's no tears coming out. You should have been worried.
process going.
Well, I'm sure it is. There were so many inconsistencies with what Dan was telling us and what we were slowly finding and observing at the scene. He had freshly stained deodorant stains on his t-shirt, which indicated he had just put that shirt on, even though he said he'd been wearing those clothes all day. One of the other things that we had learned is that one of the deputies videotaped and photographed the washer and dryer in the basement.
So by looking at the video, I could see how much time was left behind on the dryer, that the time that the dryer was started was within a minute of the 911 call. And so if he is so upset, if he's so distraught, but he had the presence of mind to move laundry over and start the dryer.
I asked Dan if there was any reason why he would have any gunshot residue on his person. Dan paused and gave me an extremely dirty look. And after a long pause, he says, well, yeah, I shot a gun today when I got back.
Shot my 40 today. But I showered.
When I took that pistol and started processing it, not only was the pistol clean, there was no evidence that it had been fired, no sooting. And when we did go to collect his gunshot residue swab, he immediately stuck his hands in his pocket and began scrubbing them around in kind of a to and fro fashion before he would put his hands out. That's evidence that he's trying to cover up something.
Once Howard's lawyers showed up, the questioning stopped.
There was no charges at that point. Unless you have a confession that there's been a murder, there has to be an autopsy.
And the results were not what the detectives expected.
Coroner ruled Kendi Howard's death to be undetermined.
Meaning it could have been a murder, but it also could have been a suicide.
It wasn't a slam dunk at all. It was going to be one that was going to be a long process to get resolved.
The longer time went by after her death, I think he started getting more and more comfortable.
And a lot of people thought that it had been a suicide, but law enforcement knew better.
Detectives were focused on why there was less blood in the bathtub than to be expected from a gunshot wound through the mouth.
If Kendi Howard would have been alive when she was shot, she would have bled profusely. The tongue is a muscle made up of lots and lots and lots of veins and arteries. She would have been spraying blood out of her mouth.
And the trajectory of the blood into Kendi's mouth also didn't add up.
She had a single gunshot wound, which was interoral and a slightly downward angle. Most interoral gunshot wounds by suicide are in an upward position. It only makes sense, right, that if someone's going to shoot themselves in the head, they want that bullet to go into their brain, not down. Hers was down. We were convinced that Dan Howard had killed Kendi and then staged her death to look like a suicide.
She was covered from head to toe in bruises across her body, bruises that would have been the result of blunt force trauma. The state's theory of the case was that at some point he asphyxiated her using a carotid restraint. It was a technique that Dan would have been trained in as a law enforcement officer.
We also had witnesses come forward who said Dan Howard had bragged to them he could kill somebody and make it look like a suicide.
It took more than 2 years, but in the spring of 2023,
former ISP trooper is charged with murder and domestic battery in connection with the death of his wife back in 2021.
Daniel Howard was indicted for first-degree murder, with the prosecution fully aware there would be plenty of room for reasonable doubt as to whether it was a suicide or a murder.
I believe Dan thought he was going to get away with it.
Right now, a former Idaho State Police trooper from Athol is on trial for allegedly killing his wife 3 years ago. He claims she killed herself, and he found her in the bathtub.
It's not every day that you hear about an officer of the law being charged with murder, let alone the murder of his wife.
We'll turn out both these statements. I think I go first. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dan Howard moved to Idaho, became a deputy sheriff in Idaho County, and then in 1994 he became an Idaho State Trooper. And he had the training, knowledge, and experience to be able to process crime scenes and collect evidence. Ladies and gentlemen, there are two sides to that coin. Having the ability to read a crime scene and collect evidence also gives you the ability to stage a crime scene and not leave evidence.
So our theory of the case was that Dan had killed her via asphyxiation and then shot her in the mouth to make it look like a suicide after the fact.
Why? What's the motive? Kendi was going to take half of everything in the divorce. $1 million. They have a house on 10 acres in Athol. They have toys. They have a tractor, vehicles, motorcycle, boat, camper, retirements. Each of them have their own retirements. A lot of cash. Hardly any debt.
Dan certainly believed that the things that they had, the nice things that they enjoyed, were the fruits of his labor.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence will come in and will demonstrate that this was not a suicide. There will also be evidence that this was a homicide. Ladies and gentlemen, evidence will show that Dan Howard is guilty of murder. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinson. Mr. Johnson, your total.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jason Johnson.
Howard's defense lawyer told the jury this was not a murder.
The body position, the mechanics, the gun placement is consistent with suicide. The gun had Kendi's blood on one of the grips. It had her DNA on it and another male's DNA. Dan was excluded from the gun. You'll hear that she is not content with her body. She is struggling with whether she wants to leave Dan even after everything went down. When you see all the evidence, and we have concluded this case, so we'll be asking you to find defense not sure.
So we had to prove this was homicide by proving it was not a suicide.
And prosecutors began with the people closest to Kendi, including the man with whom she was having an affair, Daniel Prado.
Do you know that Kendi was married at the time you began that relationship?
Yes.
During this period of time, Kendi's making plans. What was her general demeanor?
Well, she was happy about moving forward, wanting to move forward, wanting to kind of move on.
Were there things in Kendi Howard's life that she was excited about, brought her joy?
Absolutely. She wanted to move back to our hometown, wanted to possibly start a antique store, those kinds of things.
Was the idea of divorcing Dan stressful to Kendi?
It was.
Did she say?
She was, I would say, pretty clear about how he was going to react when she told him.
Brooke Wilkins, who is your mother? You have opportunities to view Dan interact with your mother.
Yes.
Was there a difference in the way that Dan treated your mother in public and how he treated her in the privacy of your home?
100%.
How did Dan treat Kendi out in public?
Lovingly.
What about at home?
It was different at home.
Did you ever hear Dan speak to your mom in a way that wasn't kind to you?
Yes, often.
What kinds of things would you hear Dan say?
He would call her fat, a whore, stupid, dumb Indian, a slut, a bitch.
Were these things that you heard with greater frequency closer to her death?
Yes.
He certainly described a two-faced Dan who put forth this idea that they were that all-American family. And so having Kendi leave him would disrupt that image that he had worked hard to portray.
Brooke, did there come to be a time where you found out that your mother was dead?
Yes.
How did you find out that your mother was dead?
Dan got a hold of me.
What did Dan say?
He maintained that she shot herself. I asked him what did he do, and I told him I know that she wouldn't do that. She would not have shot herself.
Did you yell at him?
Yes,
Did you attend the funeral?
I did.
Did a lot of people attend the funeral?
They did.
Did Dan attend the funeral?
He did not.
Judge, actually, what we'd like to do is publish 12 A and B, if of course, okay with that?
Certainly. They dimmed the lights for what the prosecution hoped would be its most powerful piece of evidence, the questioning of Daniel Howard the night of Kendi's death.
So what was going on tonight?
Including what happened after that angry phone call with Kendi's daughter, Brooke.
I gotta tell you, that phone call put chills down my spine, people. You did it, didn't you? No, I didn't.
Can you describe the conversation for us to the best of your memory?
She was angry, she was upset, and she immediately accused Dan of killing her mother. As my testimony continued, I don't think he could help himself. And he was staring at me the entire time. He was angry. It was something he couldn't control.
On cross-examination, Howard's lawyer tried to get the detective to admit he had jumped to conclusions.
Now, when you overheard Kenny's daughter emotional on the phone, you accused Dan of killing his wife, correct?
Yes, I did.
That's when you made up your mind?
Yeah.
Don't believe me.
The prosecution's final witness was a clinical psychologist, Philip Hanger.
The interviews, with the exception of that offered by her husband, Dan Howard, did not provide an indication of concern or risk of self-harm. This is not somebody who, in my impression, within a reasonable degree of psychological certainty, would be at imminent risk for suicide.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Recommendation, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Your Honor. She was having a secret affair, correct?
There is a reference in the witness statements that there was a relationship, yes, with Mr. Prado.
Ms. Howard was 48 years old when she passed. Menopause can have an effect on a person's emotions, correct?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this case will be the truth?
The defense case was centered on the medical examiner, Dr. John Howard, no relation to Daniel Howard, who did not rule on suicide or homicide, but was certain the cause of Kendi's death was a gunshot wound, contradicting the prosecution's theory of the case.
I'm not going to say it was our only weakness, but the biggest weakness was that medical examiner's report.
And Dr. Howard stuck to his opinion, even under a lengthy cross-examination.
So there's no amount of information that could have been provided to you that would have changed your opinion as to cause of death?
As I said, this has the same occurrence of literally hundreds and hundreds of gunshot wounds that prove fatal in other cases that I've performed the autopsy. There's no reason for me to believe that there is any other cause of death.
Now, the defense had to decide whether Daniel Howard would testify on his own behalf.
Yeah, Mr. Howard, I'm going to ask you some questions. Do you understand that because the state has the burden of proof, the law does not require you to testify in your case?
Yeah.
I always believed that there was a possibility that he would testify. I think Dan is a smart person. It was always a question of whether he thought he could explain it away.
But he made a decision as to whether you will testify at your trial. What is your decision? I'm not going to discuss.
Closing arguments were set to begin after a 3-day weekend, with the prosecution team feeling good about the outcome.
Dan's trial was definitely not going well for him.
And Howard, out on bail, went home for what prosecutors were hoping would be his final weekend of freedom.
It's not common for someone charged with murder to be out on bail, but he had an ankle monitor.
Late on Sunday night, Daniel Howard was tracked heading out of town, out of state, to the nearest airport, Spokane, Washington, taking with him a gun.
Former Idaho State Police trooper was arrested last night at the Spokane International Airport, and he was booked into the jail as a fugitive trying to escape the region.
Thankfully, we had a surveillance team that had been watching Dan when he was not in court.
In court Monday morning, Howard's lawyer said it was just an innocent mistake.
Obviously, the media has covered extensively this alleged flight of Mr. Howard, who was following an individual who was there at the time of the arrest, returning a rental car.
The judge revoked Howard's bond, but said the trial would continue as scheduled.
This time, you will hear closing arguments. State will first.
Who was Kenny Howard? Kenny Howard was fun. She was communicative and engaged in her life. She was moving towards a new future, a new life that was away from the financial, emotional, and psychological control that fed it. This was not suicide. And the state showed you this was not suicide because a dead person cannot shoot themselves.
This is a charge, no matter how this pans out. Whether she committed suicide or not, this is suicide. You can feel sorry for the tragedy and miss her. But let's look at the facts and the evidence in this case of a murder or a staged suicide. Let's look at the scene. There's no sign of struggle anywhere else in the case. The scene is consistent with suicide. You don't have to keep your stamp of approval on me. You don't have to like it as a father. You don't have to like it as a husband. Not a trial for that.
I'm told that we have a verdict from the jury.
The deliberations had lasted more than 8 hours.
Mr. Howard, if you please rise. The clerk will read the jury's verdict.
Count 1, is the defendant Daniel C. Howard guilty or not guilty of domestic battery? Guilty.
When the jury found Dan guilty of felony domestic battery, I felt pretty confident they were going to find him guilty of murder.
But if they did, there was a choice of first or second degree murder, depending on whether they found premeditation.
Count 2, is the defendant Daniel C. Howard guilty or not guilty of murder in the first degree?
Your wife is faster.
No!
Not guilty. Is the defendant Daniel Howard guilty or not guilty of second degree murder? Guilty.
It was a very good feeling. I could see the family, and they were relieved, and that's what mattered to me.
Burke, all right. Thank you. Go ahead.
All aspects of my life are different since Dan decided money and his ego were more important than my mom's life. Dan, I waited for that phone call for you to explain what had happened. That didn't come. You'll never understand the damage you have caused to all of us. You are not the victim. You deserve to be here today. You deserve to never again live a free life.
Thank you, Ms. Wilkins. Mr. Howard, this is your opportunity to tell the court anything you'd like me to know or consider before sentencing if you would like to. Your Honor, I am I'm not that monster. I should. That's they don't portray me. But Your Honor is about the sentence in this case. And I love my wife. And I miss her. Words cannot describe the pain that I feel. My wife took her life. My will to live went down significantly. But the jury found me guilty of crimes I didn't want down. Thank you, Your Honor. That's all. Thank you, Mr. Howard. What the jury found, Mr. Howard, is that you murdered your wife, but they didn't find beyond reasonable doubt the one element of premeditation. But what we know, beyond reasonable doubt, is that you strangled your wife, you murdered her, and then you staged her naked body in the bathtub, shot her through the mouth, and tried to pass this off as a suicide. You killed somebody who brought a lot of life and light to those around her and those she touched. And you snuffed that out because of your own pride, greed, and anger. It's clear to me that you're a remorseless killer. And so I do find that a fixed life sentence is appropriate for the count of murder in the second degree. On the domestic violence charge, I'll impose 10 years sentence and running concurrent.
My only hope is that maybe there's a small piece of justice for Kendi's family. I think the message is if you are in an abusive relationship, you need to get out.
I'd like to report a body.
What do you mean a body?
A dead person. It's pretty badly burned.
There was a hammer. There was parts of a baseball bat. He was deceased and he was in a box. Somebody said it's like a jack in a box.
Is this the type of homicide where they're trying to send a message to somebody? Bad narcotics deal?
We had a Michigan State Police forensic artist draw what this person might have looked like.
We thought within no time we'd be able to identify this gentleman because of the unique dental structure. But we didn't.
So after work hours, and I started receiving a couple of emails that night.
Are you worried about us being here talking to you?
I'm worried about who might come chasing. Yeah, I'm worried about that. Damn right. I'm worried.
This is what he's going to stop.
out of that situation.
Grab the gun.
It's not find the first place to put a body. No, sir.
The only thing they could do was kill us.
Do you want to say anything? We, the jury, you find the defendant. It's a rural area, a lot of blueberry fields. If you're gonna dump a body, that was a great place to dump a body.
Another one in room. Yes, I'd like to report a body. What do you mean a body? A dead person.
I was a blueberry farmer that called 911 and reported it.
It's in my field, and it's burned. And it wasn't here yesterday. You can tell if it's male or female, or it's pretty badly burned.
It was basically in the middle of nowhere. The body was found in one of those old trunks. The fire had gone out, but it was charred beyond recognition.
There was no way that you could look at it and determine any type of specific facial recognition. There was no availability of fingerprints from the burning or anything of that nature. There was a hammer. There was parts of a baseball bat. Around the victim's neck, there was a partially burned piece of rope or cord. And there was some plastic, like a bag that had burned. It appeared to us that the subject had been struck in the head. And also, it appeared that a plastic bag was put over its head and a noose type rope was put around the neck.
We thought, well, because this individual was found in an area that is the blueberry fields, we have a lot of migrants that come in and out. We thought, okay, well, maybe this is a migrant worker. We were grabbing at straws trying to identify this individual.
Is this the type of homicide where they're trying to send a message to somebody? Bad narcotics deal?
We had a Michigan State Police forensic artist draw what this person might have looked like.
I think the biggest thing we had there was the dental work. This individual had what was called, they called it a flipper.
We thought within no time we'd be able to identify this gentleman because of the unique dental structure, but we didn't.
We basically had a funeral for the unidentified subject at that point.
They did a pauper's funeral, and he was buried in a cardboard box. And the only people attending the funeral were myself, a couple detectives.
That's when the sheriff reached out to a professor in the communications department at the nearby Hope College, who used students to produce true crime documentaries.
I said, you know, we got one case, and I'm convinced we could probably solve that case if we can identify our victim. And I think we're ready to have your group of students in and give them everything we got.
The result was a 50-minute long film titled Jack in the Box.
There's no disrespect in it, but what was the most unique thing that we thought about this case?
He was deceased and he was in a box. Somebody said it's like a jack in a box.
Using crime scene video and photos, the professor hoped the documentary would generate new leads for the sheriff and his detectives.
That's our goal here, to tell a story so that maybe somebody will tell him who is the victim.
We had copies made. They went out to law enforcement, different places.
The film was released in 2005, shown at the local movie theater, and sent to Michigan TV stations.
Both at that time and down the road, nothing up to that point led anywhere to help solve this. I didn't ever give it up, but as things came up, we'd take a look at it and and put it back on the corner of the desk afterwards.
When I left the sheriff's department, Jack in the Box was still an open case.
Never had anything where it went this long.
April of 2015, it was after work hours, and I started receiving a couple of emails that night. I call them somewhat cryptic. First one said, actually said, "I'm scarred." With the next one that came soon after that. I say, "Calm down." And you kind of tread that water carefully until you can make further contact.
The emails had the name of Deneen Ducharme, and soon they were talking.
I want to do and say absolutely anything I can to help. What really screwed me up on all of this was the video that I watched.
Deneen had seen the Jack in the Box documentary somewhere on the internet and could identify the victim.
Padawalu, yep, is the last name. Now he had several aliases too. I know he was in jail under a couple different names.
The victim was Roberto Caraballo, alias Juan Cintrad. He did federal prison time.
Roberto is his real identity.
Definitely the best info we'd had in a long time at that point, but I had no way of knowing what it was going to lead to. So I started looking at the federal prison records,
including Roberto's prison dental records.
And I could pretty well tell they matched. We at least knew who he was at that point.
Deneen said it was a family affair. The victim, Roberto, was her stepfather, the longtime partner of her mother, Beverly McCallum, who she said was the killer.
I'm nervous. She's a master. I'm scared.
I don't know what you're afraid of, if it's legal stuff or if it's really your mom. Or both?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both. I mean, anybody in their right mind would be afraid of both.
We learned that there was some falling out between Deneen and her mother that kind of led her to call at this point.
My mother has always been a slut, for a lack of better word.
I didn't push her very hard on things. She was sole source of information at that point. I wanted to keep the relationship good and keep her talking.
Any crime you can think of, she did it. Whatever it took for her to get the next drug, sell her body, sell her possessions, sell her home, her cars, her kids, whatever she could do.
What were her demons of choice?
Any and everything, she did it all.
Are you worried about us being here talking to her?
I'm worried. Yeah, I'm worried my mom's gonna find out. I'm worried about who she might call to come chase me. Yeah, I'm worried about that. Damn right. I'm worried.
By the time detectives from Michigan were able to track Deneen down and record her on camera, she was in custody in Jacksonville, Florida, on a fraud charge.
That Class B forgery or something like that, if that's what they're saying. So I was like, what's a...
And in checking out her background going back to her teenage years, detectives had learned that Deneen and her mother both had extensive criminal records, often as a team.
Beverly and Deneen both, a lot of theft, a lot of fraud. Well, my best description would be partners in crime.
I know you're probably thinking I'm a lot of people, but I swear to God, I'm giving you all I can remember.
Deneen had already told detectives that Roberto was murdered at their home in Charlotte, Michigan.
She told us that her mother had killed Roberto, that she was there the night it happened, and she told us that the murder actually occurred in the basement of the house.
What do you remember of the night there in the basement? What do you remember of that?
I remember coming down the stairs. I remember screaming at my mom.
Were you screaming at her? Well,
I just remember yelling at her and asking her if she was crazy, screaming, like, "Are you crazy? What is wrong with you?" And just keep screaming at her, and just kept screaming at her.
and you remember what you saw down there though?
I just remember seeing blood on the floor, the bottom of the stairs. That's all I can remember.
She said that Beverly had chipped up a lot of concrete on the basement floor wherever there was blood.
And so when they went to the basement, they didn't see any blood on the ground, but they saw a concrete patch that was newer than the other concrete that was around. And they were actually able to find Robert's blood underneath that patch. That was amazing.
The test also turned up suggestions of the DNA of Deneen Ducharme.
I told you your DNA was in that patch. That surprised you?
Yes.
It would?
Yes.
Okay. Looks like yours is in there.
So the woman who had helped give the case new life, pointing the finger at her mother, was now emerging as a suspect herself.
She tried to paint a picture where she had nothing really to do with the murder and didn't know much about it.
You don't remember being down in the basement during the murder?
Hell no. Why would I call you and tell you?
People call me and tell me way worse stuff than that, and I don't know why. I don't know why they do, but
There's no way I would even do that. There's no way. This is not my character. I would never do that.
I'm not saying it was your idea. That's not what I'm saying.
I would never even practice play, rehearsal, joke, or kid about it. That's not my personality. No way in hell. Never.
So I'm trying to give the last chance here, Deneen. I really am, because I'm telling you that, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that points a little different direction. I think some of the stuff you told me was true, and
She put herself in the van during the drive to dispose of the body and when the body was burned in Ottawa County. And she also informed us that there was a third subject present when the murder occurred named Chris, which this was the first we had heard about this subject.
That would be the only person that confirmed that I didn't plan, plot, or have anything to do with this.
It took detectives more than a year pouring through social media to track down Chris McMillan.
That was a huge breakthrough when I was able to identify Chris. I remember telling him that he had probably been waiting for that knock on the door for several years, and he kind of nodded his head and agreed with me.
I was a part of that, all right, and it was a thing that had to be a part of it.
And Chris hardly confirmed Deneen's version of events.
So who hit him first?
Chris stated that Deneen had the hammer at first, but Beverly continued to yell at her to give her the hammer. Beverly continued to hit Roberto in the head until the hammer, what Chris said, the hammer stuck in his head.
So I pulled the hammer out of his head, and next thing I know, he has a bag on his head. That's where it took
And that's how Roberto met his fate on the basement floor down there.
So who carries the box up the stairs?
Deneen and I.
I see you're upstairs. Obviously, you put it in a van. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Beverly drove out to some dirt road, and
Who was all in the van for the drive?
I mean, myself and Beverly.
Okay, so what happens when you get to that location?
Take the trunk out, and take it down the road, and lit it on fire.
Deneen was definitely an active participant from the point of Chris's testimony. And Chris had no reason to lie.
I didn't fly or plan. And I couldn't tell you if that's something that my mother did, and maybe Chris has confused. But that is definitely not.
Why would he say, though, you were part of that too? I mean, because he doesn't seem like he has any ill will against you. At that point, we had three suspects in the murder. We had Beverly, her daughter Deneen, who was 21 at the time, and the subject Chris McMillan, who was around 25, I believe, at the time of the murder.
So I just charges with them? What charges am I being charged with?
Murder.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Holy. Oh, yeah. If I'm convicted of murder, how many years do I have for that? Life, right? Great. I love my mother more and more every day. Pray that. Pray. That the truth comes out. And my mom finally gets what she deserves. Because don't suffer this.
I was looking at, young 20s individuals and a woman in her 40s. In my opinion, she was the mastermind. And so I was willing to give both both of them deals in order for them to testify against her mom.
But when they went to look for Beverly, they learned she had fled the country.
Beverly met this guy on the internet. He lived in Pakistan. She was looking for the first foreigner she could find because at that point she knew she needed to get out of the country.
Deneen probably told her, I called the cops and they're coming here to talk to us.
When she found this guy, she was on the next plane to Pakistan and was married shortly thereafter. It did not seem out of the norm for Beverly for the way she lived her life.
She'd used 6 or 7 different last names up to that point.
She would take her children and move all over the country, sometimes different countries.
And even before Beverly fled to Pakistan, she had taken up with a man in Jamaica.
Shortly after Robert's body was discovered in 2002, most of the family moved to Jamaica, where Beverly joined her boyfriend and stayed several years down there.
Detectives learned later that the boyfriend in Jamaica disappeared under mysterious circumstances.
Most of the people, in fact, that we spoke with during the investigation, men and women, were scared to death of her. Just a lot of suspicious deaths, a lot of missing people.
I don't put anything past my mother, and that's the God's honest truth. I don't. There's nothing that you could tell me that my mom did or didn't do that I'd say you were lying. I mean, he's been so much. To be honest with you, like I keep telling you, like I have spent years doing everything I possibly can to forget.
Yeah, she sounds like she's unique. That's for sure. It's being nice.
I refer to her as a small mistake. It's just what I've called her my whole life.
And detectives came to believe the motive for Beverly to kill Roberto was pure greed.
She was used to living a lifestyle of moving around a lot, not having to work. Roberto was in the drug trade business and was making good money doing that.
It was like she resented Robert for all the years she went to visit him in prison, and that's what she resented him for.
And when Roberto got out of prison, he had completely changed his life. He was reading the Bible every night in the basement.
And Roberto became a devoted father to the daughter he had with Beverly, named Cicely, eager to be a good role model.
Beverly just wasn't having fun. She wanted Roberto to go back into the drug business, and he would not do that. So I think she got sick of that.
Through Interpol, Michigan police put out an international arrest warrant, a so-called red notice for Beverly McCullough, wanted for murder.
As I came to learn, extradition from anywhere is pretty tough if it's outside of the United States.
The prosecutors continued to pursue the charges in court against the remaining two defendants, Deneen and Chris.
Chris McMillan obviously said, you know what, I murdered somebody, I want to take a plea deal, and he received a 15-year prison sentence for his agreement to testify.
But Deneen refused a similar plea deal.
When a person chooses not to take a plea offer, then you go to trial.
And she ended up being convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison.
It's a very ironic twist in this case. Why she called to begin with and didn't let it just ride.
If Deneen would have never sent that initial email, she probably would have never been convicted of a crime. Beverly did help us out by going to Rome, Italy. When she checked into a hotel, they will run you through Interpol, and that's exactly what happened to Beverly.
18 years after the murder, police in Rome announced they had arrested Beverly McCullough.
Nella notte tra il 12 e il 13, riscontrato che a suo carico pendeva un ordine di cattura a livello internazionale emesso dagli Stati Uniti.
She was taken to the jail infirmary in Rome. She had, I believe, had a heart attack of some sort and was clinically dead for just a few seconds, was revived.
And it was only after a 2-year fight in the European courts that Beverly was back on American soil, formally taken into custody and charged as she arrived at the Grand Rapids, Michigan airport.
They would not allow extradition unless I was willing to remove murder one, because that was a life without parole. So I had to drop the murder one and then go straight with the murder two and burning dead bodies.
She told her lawyer she planned to testify and reveal what she says really happened in the Jack-in-the-Box murder.
Beverly seems to have incredible luck through her years of slipping out of stuff. She tried to come across as a crippled old lady that would not hurt a fly.
Please be seated. Good morning.
Good morning.
This morning we will start with opening statement from the prosecutor, Mr. Lloyd.
On May 7th, 2002, Robert Carvalho was coming back to his home at 334 Horatio Street. On that day, though, people had already put a plan into place to kill him. And when he arrived home, they put that plan in action. One of the individuals who helped plan Robert's death, who actually helped kill Robert, who helped take him away, and who lit him on fire, is the defendant who sits here today. And at the conclusion of the case, when you review everything, I'll be asking for you to return with a verdict of guilty. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lloyd. Mr. Finley.
Today, as Miss Beverly sits here, she's an innocent woman. This means that we don't have to prove anything. The defense has to do nothing.
It's a cold case. 20 years on, people's memories fail.
Remember, this event occurred in 2002. If there's any part of you that believes that there is any other logical theory that you're going to hear about being possible, or that the prosecutor has not ruled out beyond a reasonable doubt, then not guilty is the only verdict that you can render in this case.
The people would call Chris McMillan to the stand.
he was able to talk about how Bev led the charge in wanting this killing and directing Deneen as to what should be done for it to happen.
And Beverly starts to tell Deneen, give me the hammer, give me the hammer. Deneen takes the hammer and with her right hand wants to hit him a couple times on the left side of his head. Beverly jerks the hammer away and with her left hand on the left side of the head hits him like 3 or 4 more times until the hammer was in his head. I pulled the hammer out. I'm holding the hammer. There's a hole about $half size. I turn back around and there's a bag on his head. Deneen's behind him. He's laying on his back with a rope. Deneen was holding the bag. Beverly was sitting up on top of him to keep him from moving. And he laid like that until the bag quit moving in and out and quit breathing.
And then the graphic details of disposing of the body.
We poured gas on the body.
Who poured gas on?
Beverly and I.
You both poured gas
She
on?
poured the gas, I lit the fire. When we lit him on fire, we took off up the road.
He displayed no emotion. He displayed no type of concern about his own actions on that particular day. It did seem rehearsed to me.
You testified that Deneen was the one that raised that subject with you first, is that correct?
Yes.
So it was Deneen's idea to you to kill Howard. She's the one that actually raised the idea with the direction. Correct.
She wanted me to know that her and Beverly were wanting to get rid of him.
It would be fair to say that if Deneen asked you to do something, you would do it.
A little bit, but not quite.
You would try to do what Deneen told you to do because you want to have a relationship with her, is that correct?
No, that is not why Robert got killed.
People call Cicely Carlisle. Who is Beverly McCallum?
My biological mother,
Okay, and your dad, what was his name?
Roberto Caravaggio.
Cicely was 9 years old at the time.
Did you ever talk to your mom the next day about what happened to your dad or where your dad was?
My mother told me and my sister that my dad had taken off to Canada to go back to his old life without us.
That should tell you all you need to know about Beverly and what kind of person she is.
Cicely testified that it was years later when she confronted her mother about what really happened to her father.
She immediately went into tears and she began to tell me her version of the story.
Okay, what did she tell you about what happened to your father?
Her words were that they had been arguing down in the basement and she was trying to get away, and as she was going up the stairs, my dad began to pull her by her ankles to pull her back down, and that she grabbed the nearest thing she could with her right hand, which happened to be a crowbar is what she said, and she swung it like that, the back of her head, to try to like get away from him, and that her words, he started bleeding profusively from the head.
Those were her words.
Yes. Before she knew it, Deneen and her friends were heading downstairs to finish him off.
And something that even now, to talk about this in front of the jury with your mom in the room is still painful.
Very.
It was definitely tough for Cicely. It's a miracle she turned out to be such a great person.
The defense would call Beverly McCallum to the stand.
I think Beverly's a sociopath, and I thought she would probably get on the stand. The day she testified, she was rolled up to the stand and slowly got into her witness chair, but I wasn't buying it.
You understand what you are on trial for, is that correct?
Yes, I do.
It was very clear to me that she wanted to tell what had happened that night, and that she felt that she was the only person that could actually explain what happened that night. The person we've come to know as Robert Caraballo, how do you know Robert?
I was involved with Robert for many years. We're constantly involved even if he's deceased.
She decided to lead with an Italian accent, and so that was difficult to understand at moments.
We are constantly involved. I still love that man. I have his child.
And now, did Robert want some new rules to happen at the house?
Yes.
What were those new rules supposed to be?
We discussed that he wanted me to tell my daughter, Janine, that because of her sexual preference, that he didn't want her there at the house anymore.
Okay.
And that Chris was a bum, and he needed to go as well.
Okay.
Beverly said Deneen had declared herself to be gay.
Did you confront Deneen, or did you have a conversation with Deneen about that?
Yes, I told her that I wasn't going to argue with Robert, and that if she wanted to stay there, she would have to talk to Robert today to come up with something.
Did you happen to see Deneen and or Chris during that time frame?
Yes, they were going. She told me she was going down to talk to Robert.
Beverly said she went to the basement later to see what was going on.
Then at that point, someone grabbed my right ankle. I kind of lost my balance. In the motion, there was a strange tool. About, I don't know, that made this high.
Okay. So you picked that up, and what did you do with it?
I reached down and I swung back.
And did you make contact with anybody?
Obviously, I hit Robert in the face.
And you went upstairs after that?
Yes, I was upstairs.
Where were you in the house?
I was laying down in the bed in our bedroom.
And what do you remember next?
I remember Janine coming upstairs and she said that she needed help, that something happened and that she said that we killed Robert. And
what did you do?
I couldn't even breathe. I was thinking this must be a bad dream and that he's still alive.
Did you call the police?
No, I didn't call the police.
Was there ever a time when you developed a plan to kill Robert?
No, that's cool.
Did you ever use a hammer to hit Robert?
No.
Did you ever try to suffocate Robert?
No.
Did you ever put a rope around his neck?
No.
Mr. Lloyd.
Thank you. So I'm confused, and I don't want to be disrespectful. Is English your second language?
No.
No. Okay. You seem to speak Italian. Why is that?
I speak several different languages, sir.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding the
I
words.
speak several different languages.
You speak several different languages, and so Italian is the dialect you're giving us today?
I don't have a dialect.
I did find that if I could actually agitate her, surprisingly enough, she would lose the accent and actually be able to speak up louder.
How about you look at me? How about you look at me and answer my questions? That would be what you need to do.
She doesn't technically have to.
Understandable, but I can't understand her if she
I
doesn't.
prefer not to look at you. I prefer to look at the people that I need to talk to.
Let's talk about the truths that you decided to expound today. The injuries to Robert were a little more than superficial. Would you agree with that?
They were terrible.
They were terrible.
Yes.
He died before he was burned up in Ottawa County.
Yes.
Yeah. He died in your basement, correct?
Yes. I know that they had killed Robert that day. Yes.
The day you killed Robert.
You can hear what you said.
I did not kill Robert.
I believe you just said you killed Robert.
No.
You wanted the fun life that you had before Robert actually came back from prison, didn't you? You didn't want to be part of this homemaker family life in Charlotte, Michigan, did you?
Well, I enjoyed my family.
And that's why within 6 weeks of it happening, you're selling the house.
Yeah.
You couldn't stay in that house any longer because you knew that Robert was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you helped kill Robert.
No.
And then 6 weeks later, you're back with your long-term love affair in Jamaica. Do I have it wrong?
No, you don't.
No. Let's be sure.
It is time for closing arguments. Very good. Mr. Lloyd.
This is a hammer, ladies and gentlemen. This was the hammer that was located right next to the trunk where Robert was found. And Chris tells you he hears the defendant yelling, "Give me the hammer, give me the hammer." And that with her left hand strikes Robert on the left side of the head, hitting him so hard that it sticks in his head. She portrayed herself as a fragile, old Italian woman who didn't seem to understand English. And how she loved that man, as she said in the very beginning, "I even love him past death." I mean, that'd be a heartwarming statement to make, except for the fact that a man was killed and his body was burned. But see, Robert was the victim in this matter. And as I told you in the beginning of this trial, at the end of this case, I was going to be requesting that you return with a verdict of guilty. Thank you.
Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mere presence of my client in the home that night when two other individuals killed someone does not make her guilty of murder. And her actions after the fact can be understood in the terms of a mother who is faced with the fact her daughter committed a crime, her husband has just been killed, or pseudo husband has just been killed. There's no motivation that my client had to actually kill Robert at all. There's motivation for Kristen and needn't have done so. In order for my client to be guilty of second-degree murder, prosecution has to prove that Beverly caused the death of Robert. And the reasonable doubt would bring you to the conclusion of not guilty. Thank you.
We are back on the record in People versus McCallum. I have been told that the jury has a verdict.
The jury spent only 2 hours in deliberation.
When I heard that they were back with a verdict, based on my experience, I was anticipating the worst.
So on count one, will the jury find the defendant guilty of second-degree murder? On count two, will the jury find the defendant guilty of dead bodies, disinterment, and mutilation?
Thank you.
I looked over at her when the verdict was read. No emotion, stone-faced.
It is through one of the worst imaginable experiences that I appear to you today as the daughter of the victim, Roberto Caravaggio, and also the daughter of the convicted. Despite her ill will and disgraceful parenting, I am here to face her today as a human you cannot take credit for. May these next words make their way to what was once the soul of my mother. This will be the last time that you see me in the flesh and the last time you hear my voice in the same room. You have taken the life of a beloved man who was striving to improve himself for his own well-being and for his own daughter. While you may have taken my father's life, you will have no hand in his legacy. I am his legacy. My children are his legacy, and his legacy will live on through us. Your legacy will end with you, Beverly.
This case is replete with examples of your dishonesty. What I cannot fathom is that you lied to your daughter that her father abandoned her. The only thing I can do to protect society is to provide you with a long period of incarceration. The defendant's lack of remorse, the gruesomeness of this crime would all warrant that. Please stand, as I know you can see. No matter how long, it is the sentence of this court that you will serve 40 to 60 years. On count 2, you will serve 10 years to 15 years.
I think we got justice for Roberto and for Cicely and Roberto's family. Not as much justice as I wanted, but Beverly finally got what she's deserved for a very long time. Hopefully she'll never see the outside walls in the prison again.
Where's your emergency? Yes. 1910. My wife, my family is on the ground, in the ground is bleeding.
Gurpreet Singh was calling in to report the discovery of 4 family members.
Westchester Police, anybody in?
There's a third one there. Looks like I got a gunshot wound to the top of the head.
It was probably the most gruesome scene I've been a part of.
It is a horrific execution style murder of these 4 people.
One of the neighbors in the apartment complex told the police he had heard a splash. So they brought a dive team in.
This particular firearm holds 17 rounds, and our victims in this case have been shot 16 times.
We don't have a suspect at this time. We have several people that we're going to follow up with.
There's always going to be that thought that maybe these people were killed because of their race or religion or country of origin.
We want justice. We only want a killer that should be hanged.
This is what he's going to tell you.
Yeah, out of that situation.
And I grabbed the gun.
Not having the first place to put a body.
No, sir. The only thing they could do was kill him.
You want to say anything? We, the jury, find the defendant.
Westchester's a large suburban community just north of Cincinnati, Ohio.
We have a sizable Sikh community here in Westchester. We have a Sikh temple, and I think that draws a lot of individuals to the area who are in the Sikh community.
The best thing about America is that they accept every culture, every race. That's the best thing about America.
For years, this apartment complex was home for a Sikh family that immigrated here from India. Gurpreet Singh and his wife and their 3 school-aged children.
They moved here for work and to raise a family in this area, and had other family members that were living in the area.
Gurpreet became a truck driver and participated in kind of the American dream. And then
911, where's your emergency? Hello, 911. Yes. Where are you at? I will send help, but I need to know what's going on. Can you say it again? My wife, my family is doing. Your wife and your family are doing what? On the ground, still in the ground, bleeding.
Sir, how many people are down?
Four.
Gurpreet Singh was calling in to report the discovery of 4 family members. He was unable to provide any details about what injuries they suffered.
You say they're bleeding?
Yes, they are.
Okay, have they been shot? Have they been stabbed?
I don't know. Bleeding.
He just wasn't giving the 911 operators a lot of information. He just kept saying they were all down, they were all bleeding.
Can you go check to see if they're breathing?
No.
You say you killed them?
No, what are you talking about?
Sir, did you do something to them?
No, I just got home.
2 slugs and 2 engines. Turned away from there, said he had hurt the family members, so when we asked him, he said he did not.
Okay, all right, go out and meet my officer. They're out front. Fine, go meet my officer out front, please, okay?
4562, right? 4582, 7262. Straight ahead. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Hands! Down on the ground. Stay on your belly. I'm going to step around him. Yeah. I got cover. What happened? I don't know. Everybody's bleeding.
They tell him to get down on the ground because obviously at that point in time, the officers don't know who he is, if he's the caller in, if he's a victim, if he's a witness, if he's the suspect.
Is there anybody else in there except for your family?
No. Everybody.
You got cover? Come up here.
He's wearing a red t-shirt, a pair of blue jeans. He does not have on shoes, and his hands, his arms, his chest, and his bare socks are covered in saturated blood.
Why are you covering so much blood?
I have my life on my lap. She on the feet trying to feed the water.
Okay. Stay there.
I'm not
You
going
got
to
go.
please help them.
And more coverage up here. Here's what 20 got smoke coming from inside, or we're making entry. Westchester Police, anybody in?
They obviously have their weapons out, and they begin to methodically go through the house to see if there are suspects or the people responsible in the residence.
We got to look out. There's a third one there. Third one here. Looks like I got a gunshot wound to the top of the head.
And they unfortunately continue to identify victims as they flow through the apartment.
Watch my back here. I'm down the hallway. You got here.
TV was on. There was some smoke coming from the stove. The fire alarm was definitely going off. It was a chaotic scene for responding.
You got stuff on the stove. That's the smoke. Okay. Another person in the bed here. A lot of blood. What's that?
It was one of the most gruesome scenes, probably the most gruesome scene I've been a part of. Obviously, there were 4 deceased people inside with multiple gunshot wounds, bloody footprints throughout the apartment.
We have 4 victims with no signs of life.
This was a mass murder. This was a mass shooting. It was a home invasion of some kind in the sense that 4 people, innocent people, people who were not involved in drugs or other kinds of crime, were shot and killed in their own home, one of them in their own bed.
The victims were Singh's wife, Shilinderjit, his mother-in-law and father-in-law, and his wife's aunt.
Between the 4 of them, they were shot 16 times, and 15 of those shots were to the head. It is a horrific execution-style murder scene of these 4 people.
Officers called for backup to search the area for suspects.
See if we got a hang on nearby. If not, call Officer Rob. Then we're going to need to try to attempt to track. If every officer that's available, come down here.
To me, it was either somebody that knew the victims did it, or it was a complete random attack, which Westchester, that doesn't happen in our community.
Let's bring a car up and get him in there. If we can, we'll get him out of cuffs. Do you have any idea what happened here? Do you know who may have done this? Buddy, I just got here. I don't know anything. I'm just going to try to get up over the wheel.
When I got to him, he was sitting in the back of one of our police cars. I viewed him as a witness.
What name do you
Your friends call you. Mr. Saul, you call me Gary. Gary? I didn't know if it was shock from, because the story I got was he had just gotten home and that's how the condition he found his family. So I couldn't tell if it was shock from the scene or if he just was not answering things. Not right now, sir. So then, okay, please tell me if she's okay. Is your wife one of the people that's in here? My wife, my mom, dad. Everybody inside is deceased. What is that? Death. Well, that's why it's very, very important for you to hold together and help me out so we can figure out what happened tonight, okay, Gary? I need you to be strong for me, Gary. Okay? Okay. Was your aunt in there? I see her. She bleeds. Yeah, she passed. She's deceased. She what? Deceased. Yeah. Gary, just hang tight, okay? We're gonna take a break for a minute. We're gonna get you back to our police department where you're comfortable and get some info there, okay? My kids. Where are your kids at? My kids with my brother and my sister.
For detectives, the only good news that night was that Singh's 3 children were not at home when the murders took place. But they would soon come to wonder whether that was a fortunate circumstance or something that had been carefully planned.
My kids okay? You able to walk okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Okay. Right through this door. Go in here, have a seat. Can you please, can I talk to him? Have a seat.
When I first met him, I just knew that I was talking to a man who'd been through obviously some trauma and that was covered in blood.
Hello, how are you? Sir, I'm okay. Okay, nothing wrong with me. I understand. I'm totally okay. You please help my family. You were helping. I know you've been through a lot, man. We're gonna take our time, okay?
He is the only one who could tell me what he observed before he called 911.
It's very important to us to help us out. I come back and see my mom. Yes, I see my mom. And I see my wife. And I see my aunt. I see they bleed and they're on the ground. And I am just running, trying to shake them, trying to see. And I go inside my dad, I shake them, he bleeds. And no one talks. And then I thought, and I try to give them water, little bit. And I call 911. But sir, can you please tell me what happened? And why all this?
I don't know what happened. That's what we're trying to find out from you what you saw, what you did today, where people were. He could remember certain things. He just didn't articulate them very well. I understand. You've been through a lot, man. I get it. I'm just trying to help you here. I don't remember, sir. Okay.
Please tell me what happened.
Yeah, I'll tell you what happened. Okay. Somebody killed your family.
Yes, but why?
I don't know. That's why I need your help. He was in the apartment. He knows what happened. Very strange. Who would want to kill your family?
I don't take anybody. I don't know why.
I know, but somebody did. So we need me and you. We need to figure out who it could have been.
So you're saying someone killed my family?
I think so. I think so.
Why?
Somebody in that apartment had some problems with someone.
This is not random. There's all kinds of questions. It is why did this happen? Because it did happen.
Does anybody, including yourself, have a drug problem?
No, sir, not at all.
Pills, marijuana, cocaine, methamphetamine.
Sir, I am 37 years old. I have never touched alcohol, tobacco. The hardest drink I drink is tea, coffee.
Did you guys owe anybody money?
No.
Has your wife ever been unfaithful to you?
Always faithful, no problem.
Okay. Have you ever been unfaithful to your wife?
Always faithful, never problem.
Has your mom and your dad always been faithful?
Never problem. Sir, I sorry to interrupt you. It doesn't happen in Punjabi culture.
Okay.
Yes, but if it does, then it won't be cheating. It will be complete separation. It won't be like wife or husband is or cheating but still living together. No. If they're together, together. Otherwise, they're
okay.
He gave me absolutely no motive whatsoever. Life is great. Marriage is great. No drinking problems. No money problems for anyone. He wanted us to believe that everything was perfect in that house.
So if we find the person who did it, you would expect the worst punishment for him?
Yes. But I know me and my family did nothing wrong to anybody. I've been a religion person for all my life. Hello, what? Where's God? When it's time for me, what did I do wrong?
Could get you some more water or anything right now?
I don't feel anything. Let it go. I died too.
At the end of the interview, the police asked him to submit to a gunshot residue kit to test his hands for gunshot residue before they let him go home for the evening.
So what I want to do, okay, is this is called a gunshot residue kit, okay?
And at that point, his demeanor completely changed. He started hyperventilating.
You all right?
Oh, I want to go home. I want to go home and be with my kids. Maybe they're in danger. I want to go home right now.
Okay, well, have a seat for me, okay?
No.
He did not consent to the gunshot residue. He started freaking out and panicking and wanted to leave.
What did you arrest me? Well, I'm not saying you did anything wrong.
That's why I'm saying.
But you're the first guy to show up where 4 people have been murdered.
Look, I'm covered with blood.
I understand.
You think this is so easy for me?
No, I think
this is my family's blood.
I think it's horrible.
But you're not doing anything about it. You're treating me like I'm a criminal.
We have an entire police department.
You have to get to see my brother.
That was a man who wanted to leave the situation he was in. It's called fight or flight for a reason. You either fight or you want to leave. And he wanted to leave. He wanted to leave badly.
Am I under arrest?
You made a second.
What does that mean?
That means you can't leave until we get a search warrant.
Why not? What's my fault?
There's evidence, potential evidence on your hands that where I don't know.
I have been sitting here all day, get up to your potential.
Sit down.
No.
Here, you're not leaving.
Please, don't touch me. What did I do wrong?
Have a seat.
Why would I stay here?
I understand that, but there's no arguing about it. You're gonna stay here, and that's final. That's it.
Okay, arrest me.
Again, you're under detention. You're
no, I don't understand the thing or whatever.
Back in the room.
You arrest me?
You need to get back in this room.
Look, he told me now that my family was shot. I thought it was an accident.
That was an accident. 4 people died, and you thought it was
Yes.
Ultimately, the police department obtained a search warrant so that they could obtain his clothing and the gunshot residue off his hands.
You bring your search warrant, you bring FBI, you bring your army on me, I'm not giving you anything. I'm not. This is my right, and I am using it.
Obviously, his behavior is very suspicious, but it by itself is not an indication of guilt.
The results of the gunshot residue test would take time, so police did not have enough evidence to charge Singh and no choice but to let him leave.
He was out of custody for a couple of months while the police continued to conduct their investigation and wait for the lab results to come back.
There's still a mystery surrounding the murders of 4 people in a Westchester apartment.
It was a big deal in the Cincinnati area, a big deal nationally, and it was a big deal in India.
Relatives of the victims in India wanted to know what was taking so long for police in Ohio to make an arrest.
We want justice. We are in shock for the last 2 months. He just killed our family. We only want a killer that should be hanged. That's it. Thank you.
We don't have a suspect at this time. We have several people that we're going to follow up with and determine where their locations were and everything. But it's to say that we're looking at one person now.
After being released by police, Gurpreet Singh helped to lead a march in Westchester amid concerns that the murders may have been a hate crime.
There's always going to be that thought that maybe these people were killed because of their race or religion or country of origin.
Friends and family are coming in from all over the country. Everybody got one question: why? Why?
But even as Singh proclaimed his innocence to his family, detectives remained focused on him.
The family members, like just about anyone, didn't want to believe that someone that they have known would carry out such a horrific act of violence.
Detectives came to learn from family members that Singh and his wife had an arranged marriage.
In our culture, most of the marriages are arranged marriages. They decided to marry Gurpreet with Shailendra.
And family members also told police that 2 weeks before the murders, there was a bitter dispute between Gurpreet and his father-in-law involving the sale of some land back in India.
There was a meeting at Gurpreet's house, and Gurpreet was demanding money. So he was demanding money from the land deal that was happening in India.
Singh had told police in his interview that there were no money problems in the family.
Did you guys owe anybody money? No.
And he also told detectives he was faithful to his wife.
Always faithful, never problem.
He was adamant. He very callously and very coldly dismissed any idea that there was any problem in his relationship with his wife.
But pictures on Singh's phone told detectives another story.
They learned that he had a long-standing extramarital affair with a woman who resided in Indianapolis. He was paying for his girlfriend's car, house, insurance, his own apartment, his truck, and he had purchased a house about 10 doors down from his girlfriend as well. They learned that this same woman reached out to him probably about half a dozen times the night of the murder.
And detectives pushed harder to find out why the children had been out for dinner with Gurpreet's cousin on that night.
This was a school night. After 9 p.m., these kids are still not in the house. We came to learn from those cousins that it was Gurpreet Singh who had the idea for the kids to leave the house and to go out to eat and to spend time with their cousin.
And then the results came back from the gunshot residue test on Singh.
Both of the defendant's hands tested positive for gunshot residue. The gun itself took some time to find. It was found in a retention pond behind the apartment.
One of the neighbors in the apartment complex told the police that he had heard a splash. And so they brought a dive team in and searched the bottom of the lake.
This particular firearm holds 17 rounds, and our victims in this case have been shot 16 times. The firearm had the serial number removed from it, which prevents law enforcement from tracking where it was purchased and who the last known purchaser of that firearm was.
The DNA of Singh's father-in-law was found on the gun, but there were no fingerprints.
They did attempt to have Mr. Singh come back in for another interview. He refused to come back in.
The final piece of the puzzle for detectives and prosecutors came from Singh's cell phone data around the time of the 911 call.
We knew that that call was placed at 9:40. The car was parked in the parking spot outside of his apartment at 9:09 p.m. The Google records for where the phone was located placed the phone inside the apartment at 9:11 p.m. and the 911 call came in at 9:40 p.m., which told me that he was home at the time of the murder. It was inescapable that Mr. Singh's statement about coming home and just finding his family murdered was so thoroughly unsupported, disproven by the electronic evidence, we decided that we needed to move forward with charges on it.
An arrest warrant was forwarded to police in Connecticut, where Singh was visiting relatives.
He was also charged with a death penalty specification for the purposeful killing of 2 or more people.
The family members of all of the victims in this case were present. Some of them came from overseas and came here and waited 5 years to see this.
There is nothing more important in our lives to get justice.
Because Gurpreet Singh could face the death penalty, and it would be a jury decision, jury selection had taken on an added significance.
We wanted smart folks, and Gurpreet being of brown skin, we wanted folks of color on the jury because I think that they can relate more to Gurpreet than white folks. And there was one juror who was an African American.
Mr. Marshall. This defendant, Gurpreet Singh, made a choice. He made a decision that has brought all of us here to this courtroom. He executed a plan to kill his entire family. In the years, months, weeks, and days leading up to these murders, despite this defendant telling the police that his marriage was great, that there were no problems, no infidelities, no issues. This defendant had been carrying on an affair with a woman in Indianapolis for some time.
Prosecutor John Marshall's strongest point was the GPS data showing Singh had arrived home at 9:11 p.m.
The gunshots were between 9:15 and 9:35. He did not call 911 until 9:48. When you heard all of the evidence, you will announce to this defendant that he has been talking about. You do that by finding him guilty. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Mr. Richards. Thank you. Before I tell you what I believe happened on April 28th, 2019, I want to give everyone a little bit of background about some of the characters and information you're going to hear over the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Singh's lawyer began to lay out for the first time a theory that the murders were carried out by a group of known criminals, part of what he called a land mafia in India.
3 men enter the door, they look around, one has a baseball bat in his hand. Gurpreet gets up and runs out the door. And he runs this way. A man chases Gurpreet with a mask on.
I believe what Gurpreet told me, which is that he was there before the shooting started, and somebody broke down the door to the apartment, killed the 4 individuals as Gurpreet ran.
The person was wearing a black hooded sweatshirt, hooded, Not a single witness in that entire apartment complex described seeing anyone matching any kind of description like that, let alone seeing Gurpreet Singh run from that apartment.
I believe after you hear all the evidence, use your common sense, and you listen and follow along the judge gives you.
You know, I've been trying adult felony cases in the state of Ohio since about 2006. I thought I had heard it all, but in that moment, I was just caught off guard by what I heard.
Knowing they had to deal with the surprise defense theory, prosecutors called the son of one of the men the defense had said was responsible for the murders.
Is your father part of the Indian land mafia?
No, he's not.
They created a boogeyman. They found a scapegoat, someone who lived halfway around the world, where every single piece of evidence conclusively demonstrated that he had not entered the United States in quite some time.
Were you in any way involved? I'm embarrassed to ask you. Were you in any way involved in the murder of Deepak, Armji, Validity, and Marty?
No, sir.
To your knowledge, was your father involved?
No, sir.
Did your father call you on the phone and instruct you to do this?
No, sir.
Your Honor, I have no additional questions.
For the record, the brief has never said that he killed me. Yes, sir. The brief never killed me. No, sir. You never killed me. No, sir. What is going on?
A man on trial for killing his ex-wife and in-laws in 2019 watches his former mistress take the stand.
Kiran Kaur.
She wishes not to be photographed or videotaped.
Gurpreet Singh's former mistress took the stand, speaking through an interpreter and requesting not to have her face shown on the national TV broadcast of the trial.
He told us that the defendant gave you $20,000 towards the mortgage down payment so that you could get the house in your name. Is that correct?
Yes.
Would Gurpreet then ever give you money for these payments?
Yes.
The prosecution tried to make it appear as if Gurpreet's finances were hurting, so therefore he had to do something, but that something could have also been a divorce.
Did the two of you ever discuss getting married?
I said to him that no, you have a family, you have kids.
Given his claims of innocence, relatives of the victims expected that Singh would testify.
For Gurpreet, we're in Butler County, Ohio, and he's of Indian descent, brown skin color, using an interpreter, and so we decided not to put him on the stand.
That's for us.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next phase of the trial are the final arguments or closing arguments of counsel. Mr. Marshall, Mr. Munich, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. Money. Sex. Murder. This case has it all. This defendant, on Sunday, April 28th, 2019, murdered his entire family in their house. He arranged to have his kids away from the house with his cousin. And he worked his way that evening from family member to family member. Executed. Then, after shooting them once, he returns and shoots them again to make sure they're dead. There is no evidence before us even establish the existence of an Indian land mafia or murder for hire.
The reason why there's not any evidence before us is because that story is patently ridiculous. It's ridiculous. All the evidence in this case leads to one person, and one person only. That's this defendant. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why he is guilty beyond any doubt. They are resting their case on the fact that Capri was not completely openly honest by openly speaking and telling the police in every detail of what happened. We're in the United States of America. We're in the United States of America. You don't have to talk with police. Lying to the police is not a crime. It is not a reason to convict someone of something. If you have reason to doubt their theory, their hypothetical, the verdict is not guilty on all counts. Now is the time for me to pass the burden that our team has had on our shoulders in the past 3 years. And it is an immense burden. We have some like you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
This was a capital case, meaning they were trying to kill Capri, and as a result, the jury was sequestered.
And on the second day of jury deliberation, there was a problem.
The court received 2 notes from the jury.
They reported that the vote was 11-1 in favor of guilt, that they were not hopeful that further deliberations would prove fruitful.
One of the jurors, who happened to be the only black juror, was standing her ground and saying that she believed that the government did not prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And at least one of the other jurors was trying to bully her into voting to convict so that they didn't have to sleep at a hotel for a second night.
We are requesting that this court excuse jurors 111 and 83 from this school and allow 2 open jurors to sit in their stead.
Juror 83 was the holdout for not guilty.
Removing juror number 83 is contrary to Ohio law and a violation of Capri's due process rights. There's a mechanism for this, and that's called mistrial. Court accepts the jury's conclusion and finds that there is no probability of this jury agreeing. This will conclude your jury service with that signature.
The judge had no choice but to declare what is commonly referred to as a hung jury and had to declare a mistrial.
Capri was relieved that there was a hung jury. It's an emotional roller coaster when you're accused of a crime, and the ups and downs are only worse when the government's trying to kill you.
But the prosecutors almost immediately announced they would retry the case.
There was no choice in the matter.
Mr. Singh, you did sign a waiver of your right to a jury trial. Is it still your intention to go forward today, waiving that jury and having your case tried to this 3-judge panel?
Yes, no.
Second time around, Mr. Singh elected to go for a 3-judge panel or a bench trial.
The hope is that when the jurists are judges and they're professional, that they take more of the emotion out of it.
Good morning, and may it please the court. They were alive until this defendant got home. All roads, Your Honors, will lead to this defendant. You will hear uncontroverted evidence that this defendant is the only person who had a reason to carry out these offenses. His affair and his repeated, continued demands for money. At the end of this case, Your Honors, we'll be asking you to hold this defendant accountable for these 4 murders and to find him guilty, because he is guilty. Thank you. From the state of Ohio's perspective, it was almost identical in terms of the way in which the case was presented.
For his defense, Singh had a new set of lawyers who now claimed Singh hadn't run away, but actually witnessed the murders.
Gurpreet is here quite simply because he lied. There's no way around that. He lied to the police. He lied to the police when he told them that he found his family, when in reality he was there and witnessed the brutality and the violence that Mr. Marshall described. I know what we are asking on a case of this magnitude, but please, I urge you to listen to what is presented and come to the conclusion that that man did not shoot anyone and he is not guilty of these offenses. Thank you, sir.
There was zero evidence. Zero evidence. Not a single witness, not a single piece of documentary evidence, not a single piece of physical evidence that suggested that anyone other than Gurpreet Singh carried out these murders, and that let alone some arch criminal halfway around the world had carried these murders out.
All right. We will retire now and begin our deliberations. Thank you very much, Counsel.
All rise. Court is adjourned.
When judge started deliberating, we were praying.
The three judges deliberated for 2 hours. The chief judge was the same judge who had presided over the first trial.
We have reached the verdict.
That was really emotional.
State of Ohio versus Gurpreet Singh. We, the three-judge panel, unanimously find the defendant, Gurpreet Singh, guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of aggravated murder.
He didn't sob, cry, make any sounds, yell. It was just completely stoic and motionless.
Death is different. The statute mandates that Gurpreet will be severely punished for this crime. That is a fact. That is the law. We are here because the state is seeking to impose the ultimate sanction. The evidence will show that Gurpreet's history, character, and background is deserving of significant weight. He was caring and empathetic. Most importantly, he is a low risk for future violence.
The defense called Gurpreet's spiritual guru, who talked through an interpreter.
During your interactions with Gurpreet, did you feel as though he was committed to the tenets of the Sikh culture?
One of the tenets of the Sikh religion about drinking and living in a country like America, he was still a teetotaler. He did not drink alcohol.
Not only drinking, but even any other intoxicant drug. Nothing he never used.
Mr. Munich, Mr. Marshall, any questions for the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Would infidelity or cheating on your wife be consistent with the Sikh culture or tenets?
It's very important to be faithful to your wife and to your family as per the tenets of the Sikh faith. This is a lifelong relationship between husband and wife, and both have to be faithful to one.
A relationship that only terminates upon death.
Yes. For sure, that's the way it is, yes.
Mr. Farnsworth, do you have additional witnesses?
Yeah, Your Honor.
The defense is not the one to call Mr. Singh as a witness.
Correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Singh, your counsel has indicated that you will not be taking the witness stand in this case. This is under sentencing act. Is that correct? Yes, sir. And is it your desire to not take the witness stand to give an court statement? Yes, sir.
This time, the judges deliberated over the course of 2 full days.
The court did deliberate, and the court has reached verdicts in regard to this matter. The state of Ohio versus Gurpreet Singh. We, the three-judge panel, do hereby unanimously find that the sentence of death should be imposed upon Gurpreet Singh under count 1 of the indictment. And that verdict form is signed by all 3 judges.
We couldn't stop our emotions. It was all tears. Everybody was crying. It was a real satisfaction. He has done a really heinous crime. So he has no right to live one day. He has no right to live even 1 second. That's what we thought. That's what we worked for. He's not a good guy. He's a devil.
Cardone was already a star. He had a gift.
He had a pretty big following here in Texas and also a famous relative, Beyonce.
I need police now. And I think my husband is injured.
Myself and Detective Molina showed up, knocked on the door, there was no answer. We noticed a bullet hole on the door.
That's weird.
As soon as I opened the door, I could see the individual lying on his back with a dry blood all around him.
It was pretty obvious he had been looking out the peephole to someone when he was shot.
The victim, 34-year-old Martel Duran, was found by police with a gunshot wound.
It was a big story for us. You know, is this drug related? Is this music related? Is this violence associated with some of the people that he hung around with?
He wasn't no fool. He knew what comes with that type of lifestyle.
He did purchase a gun, and the one thing that I told him is like, don't be showing it on Instagram. Don't be doing all that flashy stuff.
Did he do any of that stuff on Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah, the top's not safe, man. The devil's gonna work through a lot of people to get to the ones at the top.
This is what he's going to tell you. Get out of that situation.
And I grabbed the gun.
It's not the first place to put a body. No, sir. The only thing they could do was kill him.
You want to say anything? We, the jury, to find the defendant.
San Antonio Police, this is Christy. How can I help you?
I'm in Louisiana, but I have a veteran out there in San Antonio, and family members have been trying to call him since Saturday, and we haven't been getting any response back. And we wanted to know if you guys could do a wellness just to see if everything's okay with him.
And who are we checking on?
Martell, Martell.
Martel Duran was a well-known figure in the rap music scene in Texas, performing under the name Cardone.
Cardone was already a star. He had a gift. You could see what he would say, you know.
He loves to tell stories, and he loves to have that type of music to where others can actually feel and relate. And
But if we could take the time to see that everything into money, kings realize that it's just a fake appeal.
And also Martello had a famous relative who everybody knows as the legendary Beyonce.
That's his cousin.
Is he diagnosed with any mental illness or on any medication?
No,
Okay.
none of that.
And how long has it been since he's been heard from?
He doesn't answer his phone, no texting at all. Just want to make sure he's okay.
Okay, we will go ahead and get someone to do a welfare check for you.
The address is going to be the Towers and La Cantera.
So the apartment complex is on the northwest side of the city. It's a nice area.
If you wanted a new cool place, that's probably the place you would go.
We don't get a lot of calls in that area. We don't get a lot of, say, assaults or shootings in that area.
Martel had moved there after he and his wife, Joya, had separated.
So when the call came in, it was for a welfare check, and they were adamant that he was there. Myself and Detective Molina showed up. Knocked on the door, there was no answer. We noticed a bullet hole on the door. So that kind of escalated the situation to go further than just knock on the door and leave and let them know that we couldn't contact anyone.
That's weird. Yeah.
Police!
We didn't know if someone shot through the door or if he was in there. We really didn't know. So kept banging on the door and no answers. I went down to the office and requested a key. And so we went back upstairs and tried to open the door with a key, and we couldn't open it. So we knew it was locked from the inside. So maintenance made the location. And they started drilling out the lock so we could make entry. And at the same time, we checked the garage. Found his vehicle in the garage. Checked the hood, touched the hood with my hand. It was cold, so we know it's been parked there for a while.
But even as suspicions were rising, the officers did not have the authority to force entry.
We can't just break the door down. You know, how about if he's taking a shower or something like that? We don't know. Hold on. There you go. I went ahead and put the screwdriver in there, was able to open it. As soon as I opened the door, I could see the individual lying on his back with dry blood all around him. He was unresponsive. He was just laying there.
When I looked at the victim and saw where the wound was, and then compared that to where the bullet hole was in the door, it was pretty obvious he had been looking out the peephole to someone when he was shot.
We saw a chair in the room kicked over, took a look towards the kitchen, found some dishes on the floor.
You could tell right away it was in disarray. There had been some type of fight or dispute in there. Bed was broken. Things were just a mess. Looking in the closet, we did notice that there was a gun box, but no gun. The gun box was empty.
It was a big story for us, and one of the first homicides of the year for the city.
The victim, 34-year-old Martel Duran, was found by police with a gunshot wound on Tuesday.
Police aren't revealing many details about this case at this hour.
When we started to find out more about who Martel was and speaking with his family and early on in the investigation, there was thought this, is this drug related? Is this music related? Is this violence associated with some of the people that he hung around with? So there was a lot of unanswered questions.
The rap music scene has often been associated with violence connected to rivalries and feuds. And as Martel was gaining notice and success, those close to him worried that he too could become a target.
The top's not safe, man. The devil's gonna work through a lot of people to get to the ones at the top.
When you lay up in the bed, you can take it to the grave, straight into the head.
Death was a subject in some of Martel's video.
If I die, don't cry for my departure. Took the curtains closed, as the sermon goes. It played at 7 funerals so everybody knows. I never planned this.
He wasn't no fool. He knew what comes with that type of lifestyle.
Detectives had just begun to process the scene after discovering Martel's body when his wife Joya arrived.
Or Martel?
Uh-huh. Are you related to him?
What? Are you guys able to get in?
Yes, ma'am. There's some officers up there, but it's best if you just stay down here and I'm gonna go talk to the office. Okay?
So we can't go up there?
Not right now.
I didn't allow her to go upstairs and inform her that when the detectives show up, homicide detectives show up, that they would be speaking to her. And so she kind of had a feeling that something went bad.
Joya was on the phone with Martel's parents.
Is there anything that you can tell us, please?
I can't tell you anything, man. I can't tell you anything yet.
She kept trying to push as to what's going on, what happened, is he there? And I just kind of informed her that it's best that if they told her what happened.
Can't tell me anything right now. He says I have to wait for a detective. Martel.
When's the last time you spoke to him?
I spoke to him on Friday.
Friday?
Text message.
Okay.
And then Thursday, he came over to do his hair at my apartment.
Uh-huh.
I live by the dinner.
Okay. So Friday you went here, nobody was here, then you didn't come visit him, right? Yeah.
He was here. I know he was working with people and doing music.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
He can't tell me anything right now.
We didn't know what could have possibly happened to him. All we could really think is who could have possibly done it.
That's the wife right there. That's the wife right there. Live here? No, they're separated right now.
Suspect number one. Suspect number one.
And again, I appreciate you coming and talking to me. If you're here voluntarily, if you don't want to talk to me, you don't have to, okay?
We interviewed Mr. Druin's estranged wife. They were separated and not living together, but she was there at the scene.
And what kind of relationship or marriage did you guys have?
It was great. We had a lot in common. We both loved music. I did a little music as well and things like that. Towards the end, I would say the last 2 years is kind of when it got rocky. I don't know, sometimes he can get a little mean and stuff. So, not to mention that with the music stuff, I really didn't like some of the people that he worked with, kind of shady. You know, a lot of times what happens is people get in beefs about music and then they flash and stuff, which I told him not, don't do that.
But he did.
Before his life was taken, the music went aggressive, braggadocious.
You know how much it means to me. You know how much it means to me. To get a bag and pull up on them easily. Everything.
But glorifying like more negativity than usual.
He did purchase a gun, and I told him that when we were together, I never wanted a gun in the house.
What type of gun was it?
It wasn't just like a handgun. I don't know. One thing that I told him is like, don't be showing it on Instagram. Don't be doing all that flashy stuff.
Did he do any of that stuff on Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I messaged him and I said, hey man, when did we start taking pictures with guns? Like when did we start doing that? What do I gotta do with your music?
Did he flash money a lot on Instagram or?
He may have, but I know one thing that he did was he liked a lot of jewelry.
Okay. From obviously he's flashed when he's doing some of that stuff on Instagram.
He's always been flashy and cocky.
And cocky.
To be honest with you, I thought he got robbed because Cordone, he was flashy. It's like the devil knew his Achilles heel.
We do understand that industry is very competitive and can tend to be violent from time to time. But in this case, we didn't spend a whole lot of time looking into that.
Especially after officers at the scene discovered that it appeared his wife had made an earlier 911 call for a welfare check on Martel, 4 days before his body was found.
I need police now. Okay, and your name? My name is Joya Duran.
A call Joya had never mentioned to police.
Okay, what's going on? I'm trying to get in my apartment, but I'm not able to get in. And I see I'm just not able to get in, and I think my husband is injured. Your husband's hurt? Yes. Do you hear him? No, he's not responding, and I called him, and he's just not responding. And there's a hole in his door, and I don't know what's going on. There's a hole in the door? Yes.
But she didn't give the correct apartment number. The information she provided led them to a building that wasn't even fully constructed. So they didn't have any information to go off, so they weren't able to find Mr. Tarun or assist him at that point.
Spell the first name? Joya, it's Joia. Okay. And your husband's name? Martel. Last name? Deron, Deroun.
It was sad to think that we had an opportunity that maybe we could have been able to get to him sooner.
And the neighbor who lived across from Martel's apartment told police she heard a woman outside his door around the same time as the 911 call the previous Friday night.
So I remember hearing knocking, and so I opened the door, and that's when I saw the girl that I've seen maybe about 2 or 3 times, and she was just banging and banging and banging on this door. And I guess I was kind of taken aback because I wasn't sure exactly what was going on because she was barefoot and she had nothing in her hand, and she just looked a little bit out of it, facial expression wise. So I immediately just apologized for opening the door because I didn't want to, and we checked in from whatever was happening because I figured if she's banging on his door, it's probably not good.
Yeah. And that helped us to start to establish a timeline of when this might have happened to Mr. Derulin.
So now police rushed to canvass other apartments on the floor to see if anyone had surveillance camera video from that night, and they found one.
And sure enough, we see on that camera footage at about the time that we had established already a female matching the description of the female that the neighbor saw banging on Mr. Deruin's door. The frightening part about it was looking at that footage, we knew this was the person we were looking for because she's carrying a gun in one hand and a cell phone in the other. So we're able to compare her 911 call recording to the video where you can hear the audio, and it's the exact same call.
Yes.
Okay, and this is the Towers?
Yes.
Okay, and your name?
My name is Joya Duran.
But then another twist. The woman who had said she was Joya was not Joya at all.
We had that witness look at her, and she said, "That's not who I saw."
But Joya did have an idea who the woman in the video might be.
Do you remember any of the people that he kind of hung out with during that rap group?
Oh, I only know of one person, and that was the girl I sent the picture to, the detective.
What's that girl's name?
It's Sasha.
Is it S-H-A?
Mm-hmm. Last name Skare, S-K-A-R-E.
S-K-A-R-E. Let me see. So this is her?
That's her.
My baby say, Daddy, don't cry. So I hate my day. Still hurting me. I'm sorry, baby, but I'm crying. Ooh, it's still hurting me. It's hurting me. It's still hurting me. Yeah, it's still hurting.
I wrote a song called Still Hurting.
Martell's friend and producer Brian Mitchell recorded the tribute the day he learned of the murder.
It's too late for me to run away. Gotta stand here and fight for a better day.
I had like anger in my heart. I'm a very emotional person. It broke me down. He had star quality from the first handshake. You knew he was the standout.
And Mitchell said Martell refused to use his cousin Beyonce to help his career.
Me begging him to please show Beyonce your music. It's like he wouldn't want to do it. It's like one of those I'd rather die on my knees. He wants to make it on his own.
Mitchell knew the suspected killer, Sasha Skar, as someone who was spending a lot of time with Martell, appearing in some of his videos.
That same gun that's in that picture with the Mercedes, it's the same gun, that she used to take his life.
And Martell's estranged wife, Joya, told detectives about her suspicions of Sasha.
And I believe that's who he was currently seeing now, since we've been separated.
So why do you believe that he was seeing her?
He messaged me on Instagram, just kind of alluding to the fact that she wanted to ask me about the relationship that we had, me with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what can I help you with? And then she never said anything after that. But I guess she was wanting to find out, like, why we separated, or if,
If there was any sort of kind of like feelings between y'all two.
Exactly. And the reason I say that about the Instagram is because there's pictures of her at his place, like sitting on his car and, just different things like that.
She told the detectives Martell felt disrespected by Sasha.
Just allowing people to come into his home and do things with his property without his consent. So we could tell it was a volatile relationship.
Martell's text messages to Sasha were full of anger.
Things that she was doing that he had to address with her. And he was he wanted to help her. He was trying to help her. But he also let her know, look, I can't help you. And if you don't change, you're going to end up, in prison, is basically what he told her.
was more of like a teacher-student type relationship where he was trying to develop her music and all that stuff like that.
Was she like a singer,
Um,
or was she just like some type of like a promoter?
I believe she was trying to be a promoter, but she did do music as well. She had a couple of songs that she came over and done.
Did he ever confide in you his relationship with her?
I think he would just tell me that, yeah, I want to, continue working with her and doing the music and stuff like that.
And using the apartment surveillance footage, detectives were able to piece together what they thought happened that night between Sasha and Martel after an apparent fight.
Sasha left the apartment during the fight, got her hands on the gun, and that's when he locked the door. He deadbolted it. No one was getting back in there. That's why she was needing to bang on the door. She's trying to get his attention to open the door. She wants to get back in because she left some of her property there that she needed. She's barefoot. She needed to get her stuff. But we did find text messages that pretty much described what was happening. He even makes a plea with her. Hey, you need to bring my gun back. These were the last text messages that Mr. Garun was able to send. That really told us that the fight got out of control. She walked out of the apartment with the gun, which matches everything that we knew about the scenario. Her opportunity there is to leave or call 911. She didn't do that. Instead, she fired a gun into the door while he's standing on the other side and then fled. Sasha Scar was our suspect that we needed to find her.
Police on the hunt to catch an accused killer.
Arrest warrants were obtained, and we sought assistance from the U.S. Marshal's office in locating her. We put the information out through the media.
The hunt is on for a 21-year-old woman. This is the woman SAPD says they are looking for, 21-year-old Sasha Scare.
She had had some skin treatment done, and it looked like she had scars on her, but those went away.
Her face is kind of everywhere, it's on the news, it's on social media.
We did get some calls from some of her friends and acquaintances that she was probably on the run. Looking into Sasha Scar, we found out that she had a criminal history. She had a criminal past. She had been involved in several things over the years.
Back in November 2019, she was wanted by Austin police for her alleged role in a drug deal that resulted in Austin's 33rd homicide that year.
We currently have a black female by the name of Sasha Scare. She is currently wanted for aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon.
The case against Scar in the Austin shooting was still pending at the time of Martel's murder.
Just told us that she was prone to violence.
San Antonio police and the U.S. Marshals searched for her for some 2 weeks.
If you know the whereabouts of Scare, you're asked to contact police immediately.
Eventually, she came back on her own, and she turned herself into the Bexar County Sheriff's Office. Can you identify yourself, your full name, birthday for me?
Sasha Scar.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I just call you Sasha? Okay. Before we get started, Sasha, because you are here in custody, I need to advise you of your rights, okay? I went there hoping she would give me a statement to explain everything that happened. I fully believed she was going to provide some type of a statement claiming self-defense. What I want to do, the reason I'm here is to give you an opportunity to give your side of the story of what happened, okay? You be willing to do that?
No, we got my.
Okay. Help me understand that part of it, okay? I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Give me 1 second.
Sasha Scar was charged with first-degree murder, meaning it was premeditated.
She didn't have to do what she did, and his life didn't have to end like that.
Going live now to a trial in San Antonio, Texas for a woman named Sasha Scar, who's accused of killing her rap star boyfriend, who was Beyonce's cousin.
When I saw Sasha in court, she looked completely different.
She had gained some weight while being in jail. Her hair had grown out.
She looked exhausted. Didn't look like the same person at all.
Scar faced up to life in prison if found guilty of first-degree murder. She had turned down a plea deal for a 20-year sentence.
The first 2 benches of the courtroom every day was full of friends and family of Martel.
We wanted to see as a family what happened. We wanted to be there and see all of the details.
But on the other side, it was empty. There was nobody there. for Sasha. I felt like there was a lot stacked against her in this case.
Good morning. Throughout our trial, you're going to learn that there's a physical confrontation in there by the evidence that we see, broken items. You're going to learn that a bullet, undisputed, a bullet went through the door, near the keyhole, and through his head. And the most, probably in my mind, most compelling part, the video recording of the defendant walking with a semi-automatic 9mm down the hallway on himself. Incidentally, you will learn that when the medical examiner did the autopsy on Martel, they pulled out of his head a 9mm bullet. And when you put these items together, we're going to ask you to find the defendant guilty. Right. Now, respectfully, the defense could reserve until the start of the case.
And state with your police card.
State holds Joy. What were the reasons for your separation back in 2020?
Well, we didn't want the same things anymore.
I can only imagine how it was for Joy. He was giving up, and then, on their marriage, and then in the middle of that tornado, boom, the mistress becomes the cause of death.
During the time that you were together, did you have an opportunity to meet an individual by the name of Sasha Scar?
I did.
Did you ever observe any ugliness from her?
Not really ugliness, just more of like standoffishness. She seemed like she was either very shy or just hiding something.
Prosecutors then played the 911 call from the woman who said she was Joya.
And your name?
My name is Joya. Joanna.
Did you recognize the voice, the caller on that 911 recording?
Yeah, I recognized it.
And whose voice was it?
It was Sasha's voice.
And finally, Ms. Joya, the person that we see in State's Exhibit number 4 and 6 and in the video, do you see that person in this courtroom today?
I do. She's sitting over there on the fence.
And just like the jury, can you point her out, please?
Yeah, she's right there, Sasha.
And she's wearing a black jacket.
Yeah, black jacket, white shirt.
Your Honor, this time the state will ask this witness for cross-examination. That's yes, sir. You and Marcel had arguments or fights or anything leading up to the separation?
No, everybody has arguments, but it wasn't anything major. We separated on good terms, I would say.
Carol, last one. Thank you.
The prosecution's remaining witnesses were detectives and forensic specialists who had to overcome the fact that the murder weapon was never recovered.
So we did look in the dumpsters and trash cans and bushes all around that we could find.
Police believe the weapon was the 9mm gun Martel used in his videos, missing from the gun box in his closet.
I could determine that the bullet was fired from a 9mm caliber firearm.
And without a firearm or without exactly compared to, you cannot make a comparison.
That's correct.
At this time, stay on left. You've heard a lot of evidence before. You've heard the what, you've heard the when, the where. Now you're going to hear about the why. You're going to hear from Miss Sasha Scar herself, and you're going to hear a version of events that happened that night. We're going to leave it up to you to make that decision. And ultimately, at the end, we believe you'll determine the only verdict that makes sense, which is not guilty as to murder. The defense calls for Miss Sasha Scar to stand. Can you please start by stating your name for the record?
My name is Sasha Scar.
When I heard that Sasha was going to take the stand, I couldn't believe it. It's a tactic you rarely hear used by a defense attorney.
Scar's defense lawyer, Adam LaHood, took her through her testimony.
Did you and Martel ever have a dating or any kind of sexual relationship with each other?
Yes, we did.
She didn't look intimidating. She didn't sound intimidating. She came across just as a very soft-spoken woman, almost as if she was portraying herself as the victim?
I was getting ready to go to sleep. I was scrolling on my phone, and Martel came into the room and turned the lights on. He asked me to leave, and I just asked him why.
If you recall, what was he saying at the time?
He was upset because he felt like I was on the phone with another man.
Did this verbal argument escalate into anything more physical?
Yes, it did.
How did the bed become broken?
When I had stashed my stuff from him, he had tackled me onto the bed, and for what felt like a long time, he was hitting me, choking me, until up to the point where I couldn't breathe. And then the bed just broke all of a sudden.
Ma'am, who's this a photo of?
That's me.
Okay. And again, you said, when were these photos taken? Were this photo taken?
A couple days after.
Okay.
I have a bruised eye and a few scratches on my neck.
She was trying to tell the jury that for her own protection, she grabbed his gun.
Were you in fear for your life at that point?
Yes, I was.
Okay. After you grabbed the weapon, the gun, what happened next?
I told him, don't touch me. I started backing up out of the bedroom. When I backed up out of the bedroom, he started following me. I started grabbing dishes out of the cabinets and throwing it in between us.
Some of those parts I can say was a little emotional for me, knowing that that wasn't true. I know that he would have never been the type of man to be abusive, so I didn't stay in for a lot of her portion.
Crime scene photos did show that there was some kind of sign of a struggle. But I guess the question is who was the aggressor and who wasn't?
Was it demonstrated for the jury how exactly was the gun discharged?
As I was running the door, as I was knocking on the door, I just threw the gun up there.
The gun went off?
Yes.
Okay. And did you know he was standing behind the door?
No, sir, I didn't.
After the gun goes off, what happened next?
That's when I ended up calling the police.
Spell the first name?
Joya, Joia.
Who was the person that placed that 911 call?
That was me.
Your name is not Joya?
No, sir.
Okay. Why did you give a false name in the 911?
At that time, I really wasn't in the right mind, and I'm not really used to calling the police, so I felt like since that was his wife, I just felt like I should, I guess, present myself as her.
What happened to the firearm, Sasha?
I had to end up just throwing it in a dumpster.
Miss Carter, when he fired that shot, did you know Martel was behind that door?
No, sir, I didn't.
Did you mean to hurt Martel?
Not at all.
Tell the jury, what was your intent when that gun fired?
I guess my intent was just to get his attention.
Thank you, ma'am. Pass this witness.
The cross-examination was handled by prosecutor Chris Ramos.
Ms. Carter. So it is your testimony at this point in time, you're scared to death. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yes, sir.
So when he wanted you to leave, why not just get up?
Because not only was I intoxicated, he had brought me there, and that was the second time he had did the same thing, as far as bringing me to this place and then all of a sudden just asking me to leave. So I was just questioning why are you doing that?
Now, fast forward a little bit, after the gun went off and you had your cell phone, you still found a way to leave, right? Correct?
Correct.
So instead of calling 911 and saying, hey, I've just been assaulted, I've just been choked, you didn't do that, correct?
No, sir, I didn't.
You had a gun in your hand and you could have found a safe place to remain and call police, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you had an opportunity to tell the 911 operator immediately after it's happened, I've been choked, correct?
Correct.
I've been hit, correct?
Correct.
But you don't do that.
No, sir.
Can you demonstrate to me how your hands were as you were banging on the door?
Uh,
Can you show me with your hands? Like,
I would say they were just like this.
can you exactly as how you remember it?
I had the gun in my hand and...
The gun is in your hand.
Yes.
You're handling it the normal way somebody would, correct?
Correct.
And if you're banging on the door like this, the barrel's facing up, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Show me the moment it was discharged.
After I was knocking,
Show me with your hand, please.
I just lifted it up and just shot. I
You
didn't...
lifted it up and shot.
Yes.
You lifted it up and shot.
Yes. So I wouldn't necessarily say to shoot it because...
Then why?
There would be no other answer, but...
The other answer is that you're angry and decided to shoot at him. That would be another reason why.
I didn't decide to shoot at him though.
She was the one and only witness for the defense, and then that was it.
That is how the defense progressed.
The state likes to make a closing argument. We would hear. Please go ahead.
She claimed that she was afraid for her life. She was scared to death. She left the apartment. And then she came back. Does that sound like someone who's afraid to you? No. She had a functional gun and a cell phone in her hand, left, and came back. The defendant knew exactly what she was doing. She was banging on the door to get Martel to come and deal with her. And then she shot him. That is murder.
Good morning. It's been a long few days. The state is inferring a lot of things. And again, I don't blame them, but those are inferences and speculation. There's nothing showing her standing back and intentionally aiming at the door. She's banging, banging, banging. Martel is silent back there, doesn't say a word. And you know what our theory is that unfortunately, he was quiet because he's afraid that the police are there, because he had just beat her. And the gun goes off as she's pulling it up. And I'm not saying goes off accidentally. She admits to pulling the trigger. She's owning it. She stood in the light and said it. She did not intend to hurt Martel. She did not intend to kill Martel. All she wanted to do was get her stuff. Sasha is still young. She's 24. She was 21 when this happened. She was stupid. She did a stupid, stupid thing. She was trapped. She didn't have her stuff. She's mad. She's intoxicated. She fires off a gun to get his attention, and tragedy strikes. Thank you.
Within 2 hours, they had reached a verdict.
You may be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my understanding that you've reached a verdict, and to the foreperson of the jury, is that verdict unanimous?
I definitely had a sense of nervousness of wanting to see what would happen.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Sasha Scar, guilty of the offense of murder as charged in the indictment.
Just seeing the reactions of my family having tears of joy and just seeing how like happy they were, it made me have a sense of relief.
They needed to hold her accountable, and they did.
Under Texas law, the jury would determine the sentence after hearing from more witnesses, including Martell's mother.
Can you describe how his loss has affected you?
Well, I can't. Every day is very hard. I haven't slept in a very long time. It's just as a mother to lose a son and to lose him that way. It's unimaginable, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody, nobody, ever.
I do have some type of hurt in my heart because I feel like if we would have never broken up, this would have never happened. I felt like in some form or fashion I was almost like a protector. So I felt like I wasn't there to keep negative energy away from him or people that shouldn't have been in his presence because he was very kind and he wasn't naive, but I just feel like, you let people around to help them and sometimes they can take your kindness for weakness.
Sasha, the pain and agony that you brought upon my family is unbearable. You deserve every single consequence that you caused from your own actions. Lying, manipulating, deceiving, hurting, and destroying others emotionally and physically gets you nowhere in life. But the place you will be stuck in is for the rest of your life. Thank you.
Scar, and please rise. State of Texas versus Sasha Scar, punishment verdict. We, the jury, having found that the defendant is guilty of the offense of murder, now return this verdict as to her punishment.
There's a wide range of punishment for first-degree murder in Texas. 5 to 99 years or life in prison.
Term of 55 years. Juror number 1, is this your verdict? Juror number 2, is this your verdict?
Under Texas law, she must serve half before she's eligible for parole.
I'm glad that justice caught up to her. She definitely closed the mouth of a man who was going to be remembered.
Even though a person is gone, memories like that are always forever. And I'm glad that he did make memories and that he did things while he was here for people to still listen to, for people to check into, and for people to still support even though he's gone.